Uh, Hello, myself Sunil Ramkrishnan, and here basically we are talking about the next generation. Basically, next generation, or basically you can say it's attraction of next generation. Attraction of next generation. So, attraction of next generation. Basically, so till now, basically we had, saw basically few systems. Basically, which here basically main thing is system only, nothing else. Basically system basically what basically system basically 250 city basically are specially created for one of the colleges basically you can just understand. And if I will take one example, then basically the syllabus of basically MBA basically are basically mostly basically common in the each and every college is basically, but Harvard, Oxford, and basically few colleges basically the big level colleges basically their basically syllabus are totally different. And if the syllabus are totally different, then basically the ideas basically which generates inside the body basically that are totally different. So spaces basically which from where the ideas basically gets that are also totally different. So you can just imagine basically, because they are taking the lots of money basically, so they are basically spending the money also for the students basically, and then basically when the students basically converts into the professionals basically, then basically they takes help from the students also. Then basically this like this basically the chain cycle basically gets on from students only. Basically they basically gets the professionals, then basically the professional basically becomes more professional, few professional basically become prime minister presidents basically of the country basically. Then that country basically, there basically the country, in that country basically they can have the use basically whatever use they want basically. So they then basically they creates the little bit more buildings basically, because their ideas basically are getting more enhanced, because their few students basically has become basically they have become prime minister presidents. So how basically this chain basically got generated, how basically the things basically got generated, for that basically they creates new buildings basically, because the ideas basically has converted into the presidents and prime ministers basically. So you can just imagine basically the chain system basically of the creation. So creation basically keeps on changing basically as per the basically the money they are getting. The creation keeps on changing, keeps on changing, because ideas are becoming more bigger, more bigger, more bigger, more bigger. When you become the prime minister and the president basically, then basically you think up to the universal level basically, because you have to think up to the universal level, because whatever the universe I have taken one example of the earth planet is moving at this side basically. So according to this side basically the earth planet is going to move, according to that only the entire future plan basically are created basically. In earth planet whatever single company basically is going to do the stuff basically, that are basically according to the movement of the earth planet, movement of the earth planet. So according to that only the entire companies basically work, do their works basically. Just see basically the companies are doing their work basically according to the earth planet movement. Then basically you can just imagine basically the each and every rupees basically which is given by the set of companies and set of businessmen basically. According to movement basically the currency of the department basically of the countries basically, they print the currency according to the movement of the earth which is going to be at that time at this side basically. So according to that only the basically entire plans basically are created, entire things are basically created. Then basically one person told that basically how the syllabus basically never changes basically. That was the basically interesting question basically he actually asked basically. Then he told that basically the languages basically are the things basically which basically say that that basically never gets changed basically. So that basically was very interesting question and very interesting answer basically given by some group basically. So languages basically never gets changed basically. So like this basically the company basically say that we have created the projects, we have basically created the energies, we basically created the data, We created the each and every energy is basically according to that the blood cells basically sorry, according to the human needs basically got created, and human needs basically was consumed by the set of groups basically. From that group basically the energy is going to generate, and that energy basically is going to use for the future or future basically creation. That is basically the creation of the cities, changes of the cities, modification of the cities, updation of the cities, and that basically updation basically are used by the universe group, that are basically the satellite groups. And few people basically say that basically we directly takes the data from the satellites of the certain cities basically. So that's you can just imagine the how certain which might be that city basically the data basically are directly taken by the satellites. Up to that level critical basically city might be basically up to that types of critical creation basically they might have created, which basically is the basically you can say asset of the earth planet basically, you can say as per the movement of the earth planet basically the things basically is which requires here the earth planet basically says that we need this, we need that, we need this all things basically. According to that basically the satellite programmers with satellite managers, satellite programmers, satellite directors basically, because they are doing the satellite level programming, satellite level managements basically. Satellite level managements are done because this side basically the earth planet is going to move. So which type of program, which type of software is basically required to do this level of task basically, because they know that basically the earth planet is going to move this side. So that type of software basically is required. So that type of management basically do, management group basically do the plans basically, and that manager basically connects to the earth planet and they say that basically we required so it's directly basically they don't connect with the software companies, they basically connects with the universities and basically the groups basically, and few software company basically groups are there basically. Software company basically never connects here. Why? Because software companies are only connected with the software's creation basically. After software basically how it is created, that basically they basically never connects with. After the software design it's finalized, then basically the software company comes into the play. Few software company owner are basically they prove that basically we are powerful, so according to that basically they also basically enters into that group basically. That is basically the satellite group basically says that we want this requirement, and that requirement basically are converted into the project way basically. Project way means the earth planet environment basically. Earth planet environment means earth planet is created up to that level basically, and the earth planet basically says that we runs our system like this. So according to that only basically you have to design the system basically. So for that basically lots of system basically are designed: crm, erb, banking domain, this domain, that domain, mutual fund domain, like this. Each and every basically investment are then the banking domains basically comes into the picture. In banking domains basically many products basically they creates basically. Few people says that we want to create this city, and this city basically is going to generate this vegetable, then basically they creates the products basically. The products basically are designed up to that level that they basically say that this product is going to generate the investment for this particular city, and the city is going to generate this all basically human needs, and that human needs are going to be consumed by these all blood groups basically, and that blood groups basically are going to generate the energy basically, which is going to be used for the earth planet movement purpose basically. That is basically the future purpose basically, where the earth planet groups basically, that are the satellite group basically, who are going to basically going to use the energies basically for the certain level of use. So just to create that particular energy basically, the companies basically comes from this basically, companies are created by the certain level of groups basically, that is basically created long before basically. So they basically know that for why, which purpose basically the companies are created, for which purpose the currencies basically are required, for which purpose the basically types of business are there that are created. So you can just imagine basically the big level businessmen basically are there, like in India basically everybody knows who is the businessman. So like this businessman basically they say that we have created this business, we have created that business. Each and every businessman, the next future generation businessman basically of that particular groups basically are there. So like this basically the business are created, businessmen are created, like this they basically says that basically that this is the energy basically. The currency department basically says that we have printed this much money for this particular creation basically. For this project basically we have created this money for currency. For this currency we have created this currency is basically created for this project, and that project is going to generate this or city. This city is going to generate this all human needs. That human needs are basically used by the certain level of resources. Then resources basically are going to generate the certain level of energies basically. That energy basically are the projects basically, and then the energy keeps on moving, and then basically the up to what level the energy basically gets generates. And when the tracker basically group says that basically yeah, now basically this energy can be used for the purpose of the earth planet movement purpose, then basically they say that basically yeah, basically we can take that energy and we can use that energy for the earth planet movement purpose. So just to see basically the cycle chain basically, you can say. For that basically lots of cities are created, lots of systems basically gets created. IITs, IIMs basically they do the plans basically. According to that only basically the projects names are given. Each and every things are basically there. So few basically the Harvard group says that basically we are basically specially basically our resources are only basically doing this type of task basically. They are only generating this type of energies. That Oxford University says that we are only basically into this type of energies only basically. They are basically into specific energy basically because the university basically gives the education. They are basically very rich level education. So they are only basically rich people basically can do the study. So their energy basically are up to that level basically. They basically can't produce the level of energy basically which the normal university basically do the produce. So for that basically that basically comes into the rich level energy. That comes into the rich level energies. So like this basically things are basically there. Like this the each and every projects are basically created. So basically the group basically who designs the project, they basically when they designs the project and put the projects basically in front of the servers basically, server creation groups basically, just see basically how the projects getting is also basically up to what level basically. To get the project also it's not so easy, it's not so it's easy basically if you know the steps basically. One person basically told that he designs the projects. He basically says that basically this project basically can fit to this server basically. So they literally they say that basically you can handle this project. They literally basically say yeah, basically we have the infrastructure structure basically ready for this particular project. Infrastructure basically they are telling. The server companies are telling infrastructures are basically ready for this particular projects basically. So we can just imagine up to what level the server groups are basically. IBM server, Microsoft server, Compaq server, Dell server is there, HP server is there. Like this, each and every servers are basically there. They basically literally say that our infrastructure is ready. So they basically represent their infrastructure in front of the projects group basically, who are basically into designing of the projects basically. Then they basically say that basically yeah, basically our projects basically we can basically create this project because we have the infrastructure ready. Then but the server groups basically say that we have basically HP group says that we basically launched this server basically. This is the model number. In this basically we allocated 1 lakh projects basically. 1 lakh projects basically. That projects are going to generate the energies basically. So just see basically up to what level the things are. Like this, the server groups basically say that basically yeah, basically now the um, any of the software company basically can purchase that servers basically. Then basically the server company basically purchase the servers, and the business development groups basically of the each and every software companies basically comes into the picture. They basically do the each and every hard works. They're basically each and every sequence basically which is set it by the server groups basically is to reach this server, to reach up to the projects basically. If you want this project basically, then you have to reach up to this level only. Like this basically they sends the mail, they keeps on phone doing the phone call. Like this each and every steps basically gets for gets comes basically. Here the question is basically how each and every mapping basically are done. Of the phone mapping also, the mail mapping also is basically done. So like this basically the digital world basically is so basically highly connected. Just you can imagine, because phones are connected, mails are connected, The communication basically are connected. He has went to that particular place and basically he got the email address that basically is connected. So just see basically each and every chains basically connects, and then basically the algorithm of the basically the of the server groups who has basically mapped this algorithm, that basically connects. So at last basically he gets the project basically. He gets the proposal plan, he gets each and everything basically, he gets the finalize the project, he gets the check amount basically. That this much is the amount basically percentage. You basically can start the project. So like this basically just see basically the business development officer basically change gets generated from with this businessman officer basically the project basically has got. So according to that, basically you can start the project CEO, vice presidents, then basically the senior directors, each and everything. Basically, I say that yeah, this is our business development officer. Like this, basically we got the project and we can start the project, and then basically then they starts the designing. So according to the infrastructure, basically which they have, that is basically assume that HP, compact, whatever infrastructure basically that project basically groups have basically. According to that, basically that infrastructures basically are in technical language basically that is called projects basically, operating systems in technical language basically. Operating systems are there, then the softwares are available with them. The resources basically can use the particular software. The infrastructure of the computers basically which they have basically, that is basically the technical language. And in infrastructure basically connects, that basically are basically done by the computer companies basically. Because software company basically say that few software companies say that basically yeah basically we are going to generate this human needs according to, because they have that up to that level basically capability basically, you can say. They Microsoft say that basically we can basically create the development kit basically for the vegetables basically. Java also say that basically we can create the Java toolkits basically for the fruits basically. So you can just PHP also say like this basically each and every softwares are basically there. Old software like COBOL, Pascal, and mainframe like this basically are there. Then basically the D2K is there. Then .NET is basically there. Like this basically we will not go into software level. We are basically just telling that software companies basically. Software companies basically are up to that level, so they basically have already infrastructure ready, because they know that basically the software is going to generate the human needs basically. So you can just see that this is also which just now basically I told, that is also one of the system basically which basically has not given one name basically. That basically somebody groups has told that this is this name basically we can give as a company, we can give this name as a company. So like this basically the company got created. Like this basically the company basically says that we have this level of stuff of work basically, and according to that basically we can do the stuff basically. So like this basically this is also basically one of the system basically which say that basically we can basically we are basically doing the future generation, that this particular person basically future generation can go up to the next step. So here, big level of universities are there, big level of software companies are there, big level of institutes are there, small institute, small colleges, small software companies. Like this, basically each and every levels of software groups are basically there, who basically say that this particular person's next generation can go to next step.